trying out some new technology here. If you guys want something of mine to be on my list, you can do that. So I haven't spoken in front of an audience for 8 years. I'm not going to do it anymore. Oh, that's a lot. I used to speak in front of thousands of people. I get stage fright. I can feel it right now. I was in front of an audience in Las Vegas, Nevada, about 1,000 people. And I'm up on stage, and like thinking about it honestly makes me freak out. Right? Get rid of fear. Good luck. Welcome. And I'm up on stage, 1,000 people, the Wynn Hotel. My breath got short, nervous, my heart's pounding, racing in my chest. 1,000 people, I'm in front of 1,000 people, I'm getting paid to be there. So, I literally walked off stage halfway through. Yeah, funny. Not so much. I went back to my hotel room, packed my shit, and went home. And it was horrible, right? I mean, I've been speaking to people in audiences for years, respected, looked up to. You know, I loved doing it. It's what I was passionate about. And I felt bad. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed, right? Why is this happening to me? How could this happen? And as I'd been doing a lot of speaking, I had a speaking engagement the next month scheduled, and it happened again. And I'm not sure what was worse, the having experienced it again and the utter powerlessness and just absolute freak out, or the month leading up to that worrying about it and thinking about it and being embarrassed. So I stopped accepting invitations to speak. I called the people where I was scheduled to speak, told them I was busy, couldn't make it. I stopped speaking, right? Something I love, something I was passionate about. And what was worse, frankly, I think, than the act of stopping something that I care about, that I love, that I think actually reaches people, I convinced myself that I didn't want to do it anymore. Right? I convinced myself that it wasn't worth doing. Right? My story, the story in my head was public speaking was ridiculous. Right? How are you going to reach people, move people? Right? I'm all about transformation and helping people. How are you going to do it in half an hour? They're going to write some notes and smile and applaud and say, great presentation. They're going to go home and leave their same normal lives. So to me, in my little small brain, right, it wasn't really my small brain, it was my fear. I convinced myself that not only did I not want to do it anymore, but it wasn't worth doing. And that's the real tragedy. That's the hardest part about fear. Right? I'm going to come back to this at the end, and I'm going to ask you some specific questions about it. But for me, dealing with the fact that my guilt and shame, embarrassment had turned something that I loved into something that I didn't even admit I wanted to do anymore. In my own mind, right? I could have passed a lie detector test. It wasn't, I wasn't making it up. It was real to me. I've lost track of how many engagements I've turned down, how many opportunities to speak I've missed out on, how many opportunities to be in front of nice people at the coveted 3 to 3:30 slot. And but I'm back. I'm here today. So what the heck, right? Work this. So a couple things. Anybody here ever had a panic attack? In front of people? Okay. At all, right? It's horrible, isn't it? You're like, I've never been nervous speaking in front of people in my life until 8 years ago. Never. 1,000 people, not a big deal, right? I'm a sales consultant. I'm a sales guy. I make cold calls. I do sales guy things. So I'm here today because I'm doing a lot of work in the last couple of years actually, on understanding my purpose, the gift that I believe I'm here to share, to give, on my vision for the world, on how I think the world should be, and just trying to do a lot of work on myself. And that's not the topic today. I don't want to get all holistic and froofy, but if you're interested in talking about that, I'll be up here afterward, happy to share that with you. But I did make a commitment to myself at the beginning of the year that I was going to do this and overcome my fear and get it over with. And if I stood up here and freaked out and froze, I would do that for half an hour, and so be it. I promised a good show either way. So, but I'll tell you the thing that well, I'll do this next slide here. This is my purpose, right? This is what I came to in the last year and a half, right? I am here, right, in my practice helping individuals and organizations sell better, right? I'm passionate about sales, I'm passionate about sales process, sales people. My purpose is to help others overcome their fear through living the values of care and service for their prospects and customers, right? And I'll talk about this a little more later, but I wanted to give you some context. To me, selling, account management, sales, to manage it, doesn't matter, is a profession that opens so many opportunities for people, right? Where else can a knucklehead with barely a high school education make $100 grand, right? Pretty good deal. But yet so many people see themselves as not able to do that, right? There's customer service people who think they couldn't possibly do account management. There's account management people who couldn't possibly do sales. There's sales people who couldn't do cold calling. They're all limitations by what, right? By our conceptions of what we can, can't do, what's gonna matter, who's gonna yell at me, if I'm gonna say the wrong thing, if I'm gonna freak out, if I'm gonna start to sweat or run off stage. So for me, this whole journey back to getting up in front of people and talking was really about, and this sounds strange to say, it was really about confronting what I thought, what I perceived as the hypocrisy of showing up for others and saying, I'm here to help you be free from fear when I'm hiding this secret, right? And that's really the essence of fear. Fear doesn't exist in the light, it exists in the darkness. Right? I'm not really that nervous at this point anymore. I'm here, I told you I'm afraid. What else is there, right? What else are you gonna know? If I start freaking out, you'll know why. You're like, oh, he's just having a freak out, panic. Right? So fear doesn't live in the light, it lives in the dark. It lives in our secrets, right? And it's about getting rid of those secrets and saying, okay, it's out there, now what? Right? So that's why I'm here. And as with all things in life, this is a wonderful, beautiful quote. Paulo Coelho is a Brazilian author. He writes in Portuguese. He's been writing for the past 30 or 40 years. The book, The Alchemist, languished in anonymity for about 30 years before it ever got picked up, and it's actually a very well-known book, a very popular book of his, but this is his book, right? And I truly believe this. If you want something truly, all the universe will conspire to help you achieve it. If you actually want it, if you admit it, you're not afraid of it, right? That's why I'm here. I wanted it. Chad Burmeister of Connect and Sell, magically, i.e. universe, reached out to me about a month ago and said, hey Townsend, you want to speak at the AISP? And I'm like, sure, definitely, I totally want to do that. So that is how I once again have earned the coveted 3 to 3:30 slot for, I had a half an hour slot. I'm so excited. So we better get with it. So here's what we're gonna do today. I don't know how many minutes I got left. I got about 22 minutes left to completely show everybody in this room how to remove the thing that has terrorized you your entire life like that. Wish me luck. But you can read this, I'm not gonna. I think number 3 is really the big one, right? It's nothing wrong with fear. Fear's cool, right? I'll tell you in a minute, fear kind of keeps you alive sometimes. But where fear adversely impacts our ability to serve our clients and prospect or achieve our dreams or accomplish, that sucks, that's bullshit, right? So let's stop doing that maybe for a couple minutes. Several impacts of fear. Physiological, the body, right? I start to talk faster, I start saying things, and I'm talking faster because I'm running out of breath, and I'm short of breath and shallow breathing, and it gets worse and worse, and then you just stop talking. Perspiration, yep, check. Stammering, loss of words, forgetting. Shaking, that's fine, shaking, yeah, it's just adrenaline, but you know, fear does that. The weirdest thing, other than dry mouth's pretty bad, that's why I get the water. Vision, right? When I was up in front of that audience, literally having the whole world close in, I thought I was having a heart attack. I was having a heart attack. I'm thinking, I must be dying because this has never happened to me before. So these we all sort of grasp, but the psychology, right? What does it cause us to do? Stop, don't, avoid, right? And we'll talk in a minute about how that's kind of jacked up, right? Because it's a binary response. It's not gradual, right? Fear is simply a stimulus, right? It's not yes or no, good or bad, but we're patterned, we're taught as kids to avoid, to stop. If you're afraid of it, don't do it. If it's scary, stop right there, take a couple of steps back, it'll be fine. This is just one of my silly process slides, and it's how I think of the sales process. You can read that stuff. I'll take a sip of water from my dry mouth. The point I'm trying to make is most people, intuitively grasp that, or emotionally or personally grasp that fear shows up, presents itself in the prospecting process. Who has ever been nervous making a cold call? Who has never in their life been nervous making a cold call? Good, thank you, right? We're all nervous. I've made thousands, probably tens of thousands of cold calls in my life. If I haven't done it in a while, I pick up the phone, I'm nervous. Go figure. But it shows up elsewhere, right? It's not just in the cold calling, right? Cold calling elicits all these sort of responses or thoughts from us. Fear shows up and we don't call, right? We avoid. But what about qualification? What about discovery? What about the selling, right? If we're afraid that our pipeline's not big enough, or we're going to lose our job, and our manager's going to yell at us, or we're going to be on the street living in a van down by the river, we don't qualify well, right? We don't ask the right questions, the hard questions. Have you ever been talking to somebody about an opportunity, a situation, and the question that they need to ask to figure out if it's real or not is like so obvious, it's right there in front of their face, yes, yeah, but they're not asking it. So you didn't ask him if he's a decision maker, or if she has budget. Well, no, they didn't mention that. Okay, you didn't ask. Why aren't you asking? Your fear is causing you to avoid it. You don't even see it, right? Remember I said it wasn't just that I didn't want to do it. I convinced myself it wasn't worth doing. That's really key, right? Fear is like this black hole. Anybody see, what's the movie?
Interstellar.
Thank you, Interstellar, right? It bends the light, it refracts reality, right? It distorts, right? What happens with fear is it's like sucking this thing around there that it doesn't even exist anymore. If I am afraid, if I'm concerned about offending or being in a confrontation, I don't do discovery well. I ask my 3 polite questions, I ask my 2 follow-ups, and then I say, great, let's go to the demo. Yeah, because that's selling, right? Something that's like covered. What do we fear? We are not biologically or mentally predisposed to talk to strangers, right? Hey, they're different, let's kill them. History's kind of littered with that example. So it's not a shock that I'm not like excited about picking up people I don't know and calling them. Put a bunch of sales folks in a room and say, hey, we're trying to get to that person over there. They will spend 2 weeks strategizing about who knows whom, who can send a referral, can we do some social selling on this, and possibly get an introduction. Pick up the phone and call them. Well, we can't possibly do that. They're different. Let's kill them. We're afraid of going around somebody. You're talking to somebody way too low in the organization, has no power, authority, what have you. It's obvious you're at the wrong level, but I don't want to make them uncomfortable. We're afraid of saying no to our boss, to our customers. One of the clients I'm working with right now, every single current customer that we have is an absolute and complete pain in the ass. And the reason is, throughout the past, every single one of those customers asked a series of absolutely ridiculous requests, and nobody was able to say no. So everything is a one-off, everything's a pain in the ass. We end up doing all these things that are out of our core that cost us time and energy and dilute our focus because somebody wasn't able to say no, right? I was on a call, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, talking to a customer who had bought or selling something else, and I say, hey, these 2 pieces of the puzzle, parts of the application, they're together. Well, can we separate them? No. Well, last time we asked, and they said yes. I said, that was last time, not now. Saying no, it's scary, because they might walk away. They might get mad at you. They might say it's not fair. Looking bad, right? We want to look good. We want to be cool. Nobody wants to stand up in front of 1,000 people and freak out. It's not as fun as you think. Anybody kind of conflict avoidant, doesn't like confrontation? Everybody else likes confrontation, right? We want to get in a little, yeah. Most people don't. I'm kind of weird that way. I like it. It's fun. But I'm just playing. I'm not serious. Being wrong. Here's the last one. This one is really powerful to me because the most ironic thing in the world is ethical, service-minded, caring salespeople are the only ones who actually are worried about being seen as irresponsible and manipulative. It's hilarious. If you're sitting there wondering or being concerned for manipulating somebody, you're not manipulating, right? Because the manipulator doesn't think that, they just do it. If you're worried about it, it's ironic. If you're worried about it, it's not a problem. So I've seen great salespeople not ask for the order, not ask for the hard question, not for any other reason, but they don't want to be seen as trying to get the customer to do something. They don't want to be pushy, right? They don't want to get them to do something wrong or bad. The reality is most fears are intangibles. Who here is afraid of failing? What the shit does that mean? Right? It's like, okay, when I die and I'm no longer breathing, I guess I'm out of the game, right? So done, that's failing. Other than that, what's failing? Well, know that, but everybody's I'm afraid of failing. But we all know kind of mentally, well, I can fail, I can pick myself up. I have some sort of inspirational poster on my wall that tells me to do it again. Great! But yet I'm afraid of failing. It's a concept, it doesn't mean anything. Anybody afraid of rejection? Yes, you agree, that's fine. It's a concept. It doesn't mean anything, right? Are you afraid of somebody who's big and scary and mean punching you in the face? Yeah, that would hurt. But rejection, it's not that big of a deal. So it comes down to, is there a tangible cost? Is there a tangible impact? And in most cases they're not, but yet, big scary fear. My friend Bob pointed out, I really need some big scary fear monster image, but I couldn't find a good one. So what should we be afraid of? I don't know, maybe losing our job, I guess if we're really broke, although I've lost plenty of jobs in my life, been fired and quit and still here and things worked out. Losing the deal, yeah, okay, maybe I won't get the commission, I'll get yelled at, blah, 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 I might get demoted. In reality, we think these are things we should be afraid of, but the impact still, unless you die, is you get another job, you'll work another deal, you'll work your way back up if you want to. This is actually a good thing to be afraid of, right? Personally, death and dismemberment, not my favorite, right? So, okay. Bad news, good news, and we're doing great on time. Desensitization therapy is the act of basically strapping you into a chair and putting snakes and anacondas and whatever all over you because you're terrified until you pass out, wake up, pass out, wake up, pass out, wake up, and finally you're not scared anymore because you can't pass out anymore. Absent desensitization therapy, you can't remove fear, you can't dispel fear. I've made thousands of phone calls, tens of thousands of cold calls. There's still going to be the fear, right? So it's not removable. By the time we were 12, the way the world exists was imprinted on us. Our parents helped us, our teachers helped us, our friends helped us. We've been trying to unscrew it up ever since, that's a different story. But the reality is, the world occurs to us the way the world occurs to us, and fear is part of that, right? What is scary to you is scary to you. Why? Because it's scary to you. It just is. So think about what I just said. You're not going to remove fear, and also think about the fact that, and I hope you guys are familiar with this principle, we move towards that which we focus on. I focus on fitness, I get fit. I focus on jelly donuts, I find myself consuming jelly donuts, right? It is impossible to basically not be afraid. You can't accomplish a state by focusing on the opposite state. Anybody have a headache now? Slight, mild, no headaches in the room? Okay. You're gonna solve that headache by saying, I don't wanna have this headache. No, you think about the headache, right? Take a hammer, whack your hand, headache's gone. Trust me. Different challenges, but you can't disappear something, sort of. For those of you who mountain bike, right, going down the trail really fast, you got the trail and you got the rocks, right? What do you want to ride on? Trail. What are you looking at? The rocks. What are you hitting? The rocks. You want to ride fast on the trail, you got to steer the trail. This is kind of basic stuff, but think of it in terms of fear. I don't want to be afraid. Guess what? I'm afraid. God, I'm speaking to all these people at this Crown Plaza, and it's going to be horrible. I'm probably going to sweat. Guess what? I'm reinforcing. I am reinvigorating that fear. All right, good news. We're going to talk about disappearing it, not eliminating it. I misspoke earlier. You can't eliminate it, you can disappear it, right? I have fear. I have incredible fear and anxiety about speaking in public. I do. Doing okay though, right? Haven't passed out, freaked out, etc. That fear has disappeared right now. Why? Because there's a light on it. You can't see it in the light. You with me? Fear is just sensory, right? It's like love. It's like hope. Right? That's all it is. We just have it kind of calibrated wrong, right? You have dials and gauges in your car, right? Some of them you pay attention to more, some you pay attention to less. Gas gauge, important. Speedometer, reasonably important. I tend to not do well at that, but it is reasonably important. So we're going to talk a little bit just about rethinking in terms of how does fear go away to how do I just incorporate in the rest of the stuff I do, right? And how do we integrate it with our job, our life, our passion, our path of service, if you will. The bottom part is funny because if you didn't have fear, you would be in big trouble, right? I love these fear, no fear t-shirts, right? That earns you a Darwin Award. If you're not familiar with Darwin Awards, sorry. I thought the joke was funny. Man pulling a lion's tail if you can't see it, right? So absence of fear is not the goal, should not be the goal. Although we think it should. I got this fear, I got to get over it, I got to eliminate it. No, that's not the plan. Just out it and live with it, and you're kind of fine. So here's actions. This is the note-taking part if you feel like it. The most important thing to do is what I did when I stepped up here, right? I haven't been on stage in 8 years. I am terrified of speaking in public. How do we do this at our jobs, right? If you were on a call with the CFO of a major corporation with whom you're working towards $1 million deal, and you are not scared out of your mind, there's something wrong with you. You're not okay, right? That's not normal. You're not taking it seriously. I'm not talking quivering in your seat and freaking out fear, but anxious, right? This is the big league. What's wrong with saying to that person, thanks so much for your time, sir, ma'am. Looking forward to our call today. Appreciate you giving me about 10 minutes. I need to tell you, this conversation is very important to me, and I'm a little nervous right now, so please pardon any stuttering or otherwise, trembling or weird stuff that I say. It sounds funny, but is it really? Right? This person puts their pants on one leg at a time. They're a CFO. They like to make people afraid. If you don't act afraid, they're just going to keep trying to do things to make you afraid. I coach a lot of folks, in prospecting. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm new and I've never made cold calls before and I suck at it. Have I caught you at a bad time? We're laughing, but imagine you're on the other end of the phone. Imagine you're the meanest person in the world. Somebody says that to you, how do you feel instantly? Are you going to be a jerk? No, everybody's been there. It's not that big of a deal. But this is the thing we have the hardest time. It's a simple step. Acknowledge your fear. If you're afraid of it, say it. What's going to happen? Well, they're going to think I'm bad or not good or I don't know how to do my job. No, they're going to think you're human and they might actually want to connect with you, which is sort of what this whole selling thing's all about. Last time I checked. Other than that, we're doing great on time. 3 R's. Everything comes in threes, right? If you can walk away from here today and just remember, hey, Townsend said, fear's cool. Fear's natural, it's normal. He's got a blog, and he's got a website, and he's got these videos, and he said fear was okay. So that's reframing it, right? It's not unnatural, it's normal. You gotta recalibrate though. You gotta recalibrate it from the stop, avoid, run to maybe pause, maybe think, maybe acknowledge, right? That's important. But the calibration that has been drilled into us since we were little, which is run away, that's gotta go away. This is the big one though, and I'll tie this back to sales in a second. If our purpose is to avoid fear, guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna avoid fear. If our purpose is to not look bad, we're gonna not look bad. If we have a more powerful intention, a more powerful purpose, that wins, right? It's very easy for me to redirect my intention from, there's no way I wanna get in front of a room because I'm probably gonna screw up again too. I get the chance to talk to, I don't know, whatever it is, 60, 70 people, and share some really cool shit with them that can help them. That's why I'm here. That's fun, right? That's meaningful, and that puts fear in the corner, right? Because this is more important. You guys are more important. So what's your purpose? Not your personal purpose, because that's a long conversation. In sales, what's your purpose? In your jobs, what's your purpose? The speaker before, I think, was really good, and there was some comment or something he was talking about, but this is a lot about account management, and he was talking about some of the shortcomings and the challenges that account management had. And my personal opinion was one of the biggest challenges for account managers is often they're told, go manage this account, but they are not given the context in which the relationship was started and how we entered into this financial relationship to help this client better themselves. There's no context, right? You're serving them, but not serving them to their goals, right? So you may not know what they're really trying to accomplish, where they're trying to get to, what it matters. In the sales process, when I'm trying to take your money, right, on the front end, I have to know that stuff, otherwise I don't get things like ROI or buy-in, etc. But I digress. So purpose in the sales process, these are my thoughts, right? Sales is a profession of service. You don't sell people, you serve them, right? I take your money, yes, and that is exchange for value delivered, but I'm of the belief that if you are not in your chair, on the phone, whatever, every day, believing that you are there to serve your customers, if you're not there to give, and your first priority is to take, you're gonna have some shortcomings. Your career will be limited, your success will be limited. I always seek first to serve. How can I help? What do they need? I'm gonna get paid, I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna find something to sell them because they will trust me, because they will work with me. If you can consider fear as an expression of humility, you win, right? My fear, my very real fear, is not something that limits me, it is the representation of the seriousness with which I take this conversation. In that context, am I embarrassed to tell my prospect, I'm a little nervous today, right? When you have to ask a hard question about budget, timing, authority, is this deal gonna go through? Are you talking to competitors, right? It's a hard question to ask for some reason, right? What's wrong with saying, you know, I gotta tell you, I need to ask you a question, I think it's important. It's important for me to understand how to best serve your interest and to, you know, see if this relationship makes sense. And I'm really concerned that I'm gonna offend you. And I don't wanna do that. Who else are you working with, right? If you out the fear, everything else comes easy. And then, you know, last example, acknowledge and clear your fear. That's what I said. Just say it often. Hey, I'm terrified. I'm terrified. People might get bored of it eventually. God, that guy's always freaking out. I don't understand. All right. So we'll get you out of here in 2 minutes, then you get to hear all about the wild, wild, wonderful world of AAISP and the benefits of membership. And I'll be around answering questions. So at the beginning of this conversation, one thing I said was the thing that really affected me, that really bothered me, was that fear took something from me. Took something from me that I care about, that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I believe fulfills my purpose in serving others. Not only did it make me not do it, stop doing it, it convinced me that it wasn't worth doing and that I didn't need to do it, and frankly, that it was beneath me, right? I'd like to ask you guys to think about that, right? Get out of here, go do something, but spend a little time to think about it. Is there something you're not doing because you're afraid that you've actually convinced yourself you don't even want to do anymore? Could be in business, could be in life, right? Oh, I decided I definitely don't want a real role in sales because that's a bad job, right? I don't like sales, I like account management, or I like customer service. Okay, you don't like making $100 grand a year? Fantastic, I get it. But maybe, just maybe, that's not your real belief system. Maybe that's fear convincing you of something, distorting that. So my request to you guys is think about that. Go find something you like. We all have at least one. I got about 24 probably. But we all have at least one thing that we've stopped doing, something we love, right? Love and fear, opposites, right? Fear turns love into fear. You can turn it back, right? So go think about it, find something that you're not doing that you should be doing. Out it. Turn on the lights, admit it, reframe it, and go do it. That's it. Thanks so much, and you guys can bolt, or I'll stick around. You got questions, you want to share an example, want to ask me stuff, go for it.